All right. So another week, another weekly GL.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back.
Yep, glad to be back. Today, let's spend a little bit of time talking about something we've been hearing a lot about in the news.
Everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, trying to reopen the economy, right?
Getting back to the office. What does that
Getting
look
back.
like?
This is it's going to be a slow process, right? But last week we put out a quick piece. It was about what we're doing to reopen up the office. What we're not doing. One of the things we're definitely not doing is reopening up the office in full. We've pretty much drawn the line in the sand, saying that hey, we're not going to really have a full-blown office at least until January or February of next year. But in the meantime, we do want people to start coming back into the office, and a few things we're thinking about, right?
Yeah, I think the stuff we're thinking about is both engagement,
Mm-hmm.
it's collaboration, all that yes can be done digitally now, but it's getting people back together so that you can keep that culture. We can have virtual social hours, which we do, but those only go a certain level. It's being able to have limited people in the office to
Right.
rub shoulders, not literally, but keep people engaged, right?
Yeah, so we talked about, what is this new small, medium-sized SMB office environment? What does it really end up looking like? We talked about it being less centralized. So, if you weren't prepared for this, pre-COVID, well, most either you've prepared yourself really quickly and drank from a fire hydrant trying to figure this stuff out, or you're probably not going to make it through this.
Yeah, we've seen customers on both sides, right? Customers that were fully digital, that never had a physical office, that managed a remote business and grew it and sold it, right?
Right.
And we've seen some that still have premise-based systems, whether that's the server or their phones, and not sure what to do with what it means to go remote.
But one of the things we talk about is it's not just about the physical footprint, but it's the other things that we all need to, as managers, need to consider when coming to grips that the centralized office space is probably something of the past. And will probably not return in full for many, many months, if not years. So one of the things we kind of laid out was management framework, right? That's something we've always talked about, whether it's in your annual strategic business cycle, how you go through the year, what are the things as managers, as business owners, what should we be doing that's sort of repetitive, not just create business strategy and put it in your top right-hand drawer.
Yeah, part of that management framework, big picture, like you're talking about annual cycle, and right now people are going through re-envisioning what the next rest of the year looks like. It's setting things like, hey, we don't expect a full-blown office till 2021 at best. And that helps communication, helps set expectations. That's management framework. It's also the weekly cadence, right?
Mm-hmm.
We set that up early with different teams as we went fully remote. What is our cadence of meetings and what's that look like for each function?
But let's get back to what does it mean to not have a physical footprint, right? One is you got to figure out your management framework. It's got to be robust and it's got to be grounded in cadence. It's got to have rigor. The second thing is the organizational culture, right? A big piece of org culture, people, it's the socializing. It's the hovering. It's the shadowing. It's breaking bread. It's maybe having a beer at the office on a Friday afternoon, right? It's a pat on the back. All of that kind of goes away in sort of this virtual world, sort of that physical approach to managing and developing company culture. So, how do you do that, right? How do you have a company culture? How do you keep things going, all in sort of the backdrop of Zoom, right? So we kind of laid out a few things to sort of think about because our team, we're not expecting everybody to come back. We have moms who have their kids at home, right? We have young adults who are living hundreds of miles away with their parents during quarantine, and trying to get them to come back into this new environment. So things we talked about was, what is the office space 2.0? Company culture, right? Business continuity. I'm calling it 2.0, right? You can't even get up to bat unless you've even thought about business continuity. Communication and transparency, whether it's business partners, vendors, customers, employees, etc. And then finally, and probably most importantly, is the safety and well-being of our team members, whether it's at home or here in the office, and taking those precautions to make sure, we've got the right safety measures in place. So and you're right, like one of the nice things that we've done is the virtual office party once a week.
And
Helps break,
it helps. But it's hard. It's hard too, right?
Right, you find yourself as managers like entertaining 20 employees, and some of the employees are engaged, others are not. It's a Friday afternoon or a Thursday, and people are tired. Like, who the hell wants to really engage at 5 o'clock with their peers? Right?
Some of them have work that's still ongoing. Some of them have kids in the background. Right. All completely fine, but everybody's in a different, literally a different place physically, and half of them are in a different place mentally and emotionally. Makes it hard to get people to connect on a one-to-one basis. But.
So one of the things we'll talk about more next week is around the management framework and really how to approach this. Everything from your annual operating planning to employee planning, etc. But one of the things that I we printed out here was like 2 articles both happened to be from the Wall Street Journal. One was Silicon Valley's next big office idea, work from anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Let's talk about this, because the second article to me is probably, I'd say, more sort of closer to heart, especially as a company. We brought on 6 or 7 young adults right out of college last summer, and man, it totally sucked, right? It was long hours. It was trying to get everybody up and running, and training, development. But
the second one, just to kind of overview, is the big consulting firms are pushing back start dates for new hires. That's the title of the Wall Street Journal article, if you want to go read the article in full. But it gets down to the nuts and bolts of how do you bring people on in this environment, because the Silicon Valley one is all about all these companies that we all know, Facebook, Apple, Twitter, pushing out dates, right? Whether it's dates when they're going to reopen the office. Some are pushed out till 2021. I think Facebook is no gatherings of more than 50 people until June of 2021. Right? Like, these are like big milestones that people are putting into place that are like good for people to understand.
You know what? I actually, I agree with you, but I think the biggest takeaway I had here, we use Box here. Aaron Levy, great sort of CEO, founder, built this company. But one of the things that really have piqued my interest in this article, and it's in the second paragraph or third paragraph, because in our own business, one of the things I've contemplated over the last 12 months was this notion of I feel like I've got more capacity. Where is this damn capacity? And, the knee-jerk reaction is throw people at a problem, right? Go hire more and just keep loading up. And that's not the case. And the irony is, in the last 2 months, we're seeing things like gross margin improving. And I'm here like, what the hell is going on here, right? Yes, we've lost 10, 15% of revenue, and that's pretty damn good, because we have customers that have lost 50, 100% of revenue in the last 2 months. And here we are with a lower revenue base, fortunate, right, compared to others. We've maintained our existing workforce. We haven't let anybody go. We've reduced hours. We've had to make certain adjustments the first month. But all in all, we're looking at gross margins for April into the end of May. Like, holy shit, this is pretty good. Where the hell is this coming from, right? And I got to tell you where it's coming from. And Aaron brings up this. He makes a quote here in this article. When you strip out, and I'll paraphrase, but when you strip out commuting, and you strip out, he uses airplanes. We don't really do a lot of traveling in planes here, but when you strip out the traveling for business meetings, you kind of remove a lot of these other things that crept into the work that you had to do.
Yeah,
Right?
And
All that unproductivity, all that time wasted driving around, or or just being in the office. Instead, we have employees and team members at home, and they're super productive. They know they have like 3 hours in the morning, then they got to take care of the kids for an hour or two for lunch, right? I love it. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people just want to get the hell out of the house once in a while, right? But for the most part, I think companies have probably seen greater productivity coming out of this.
yeah, and we're seeing with other studies too. I mean, there's a study out there that says that the people overall productivity is up 14%, and it's for the travel reasons. It's also, I think, because people are now used to jumping between things, whether that's school, home, remote school and work. That is the norm. They've had to optimize themselves for that, and they have to optimize their day so that they are, they're probably jumping into something for 15 minutes when their kids have a 30-minute meeting, right? And they're just able to do that. Whereas before, they would be doing other things they need to do, whether it's clean up the house or call friends. They're filling their time gaps with work.
So we can agree, like this sort of decentralized, non-physical footprint workforce, you can actually get greater productivity. You can improve your bottom line. You can try to keep the culture together, right? There is a big piece of this, like we're all in it together, right? This is COVID-19. We're all in this together. Our customers need us. We are somehow creating that cohesive company culture outside of the office. But I got to tell you, one of the biggest negative things that are going to come out of this, and I don't think enough people are talking about it, is the training and development of new hires. Everybody's focused on how do you hire. I don't know about you, but the last 6 or 7 hires that we've had here, it was pretty much all virtual interviews right up until the last minute. And I can even name 1 or 2 that probably we didn't even actually interact physically.
Yeah, I mean, let's
before
face
they walked in the door
it.
the first door.
We all know
The
that,
first day.
even if you have in-person interviews, right, you really don't know that person and know what their capabilities are unless you spend 8 hours testing them. And then at the same time, you don't really know people until they actually jump into your business.
Right.
That is it's a great thing. I mean, the article about the workplace tried to touch a little bit on training and how you're going to do that. I agree. It's not the hiring that's going to be difficult. It's the training and the development. I've already seen customers who hired right around the start of COVID. Their employees are gone, right? Because people have been working to optimize the current workforce. How do we make people effective and efficient in their job and maintain, right? And it hasn't been, now we're focused more on how do we grow again? How do we hire? How do we train? And it's going to be hard in this new environment.
So back to this article, McKinsey & Company is sort of plastered on the front cover, the front page of this article. Big consulting firms are pushing back start dates for new hires, and they give all the reasons here. Yeah. I don't believe any of this shit. I really don't think that the reason that they're pushing back and staggering all these dates is because of reduced current business or visa issues or hesitance to uproot people. I'm not sure that's the reason.
They're conserving cash and they're maintaining.
I disagree. I actually think the reason is how do you onboard all these new college graduates? Yeah, they've got all the great skills coming out of some really great schools, but let's face it. At the end of the day, let's look at our business. Can you really use Excel? Are you really an Excel jockey coming out of school? Do you have the business acumen?
Well, just not on the Excel. What was the one thing that we told people in those first 6 weeks of being here when they were in front of Excel?
Keep your hands on the keyboard.
Keep your hands on the keyboard, right? And learn to use the keyboard.
Keep your knees
right?
bent.
Stuff that you're not going to find out before you arrive.
So they talk about we're staggering these new hires for reasons that are probably superficial, obvious. I actually think the biggest, the greatest impact that COVID is going to have, it's not going to be about the hiring. It's really going to be about the type of hires you can hire and how many hires. The average business, whether you're a Fortune 200, 500 company with a leadership program or a smaller business, consulting business like ours, I don't think you can absorb that shock. I don't think you can afford that shock. Because I also think that the uptick in terms of development and training of those new employees is going to be extended from, if you're at 3 months right now for a break even,
Right.
you're probably looking 12 months from now. And you're probably not able to do as many as you could before.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like it's
So-
going to be hard.
As I think about this, like I'm thinking, what do we really need? Is it a college student that spent 4 years and God knows what that's going to look like? Nobody knows what the university higher education
Are they going to be able to
experience is
go
going
back
to look like. Or what do we really need is a 4-year apprentice.
Yeah,
Then we can hire after 4 years.
We were just talking the other day that this may look like going back in time before when college became like table stakes. Now it might be the apprenticeships are table stakes. I mean, you see this in the trades, right? There's limitations to who can get certified, electricians, plumbers, because want people that are committed to it and want people that really know their stuff, right? I mean, same here, right? We want people that know their stuff.
Right, and so we're still hiring through this pandemic. We're still hiring through this quarantine. As a matter of fact, we've got a big announcement coming up in the next few weeks on a key hire that we've been eyeing for 6 months.
Yeah, we'll tell you more.
But guess what? He comes
next Tuesday, next
he
Wednesday.
comes with like years of experience. He comes with years of experience. I don't have to train this individual. But we're in the middle of May, and what are you and I usually doing in the middle of May?
Yeah, we're hiring our next batch
grads.
of next class.
And how many are on the docket right now?
Zero. Yeah.
It's not because we don't have the business. The business is here, and the business needs that foundation of strong talent. But damn it, the talent needs to be trained and developed. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure. That's one thing I'm not ready for.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for that. I can hire all day long. I can figure out the company culture, management framework. We've never been really like walk around managers or hovering managers. Been much more an autonomous style, not autonomous. Autonomous.
Taking
style,
risks on
right?
we take risks on people, right? You take risks on people. Early days, you don't give them a leash of more than 30 minutes, an hour, depending on the project. Right?
But how do you do that virtually?
But how do you do that
know.
virtually?
I don't know.
And then how do you do it effectively? And then how do you leverage that? One of the things with the new hire for next week is, we want him to influence our team, right? And he's going to do that.
Yeah.
He's going to do that, but it's also going to look different for him to influence a new team in a new environment remotely.
So I'm comfortable with that because our team is adapt. They're ready for this. I just don't know what it looks like trying to bring on 2, 3, never mind a half a dozen new college grads. And so with that, that's our weekly GL. And so this week we kind of did things a little bit differently. It's a little bit of sausage making. We're sort of going live on YouTube to kind of see a little bit of behind the scenes. Whether or not our team decides to keep it up or not, I don't know. But
let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
And you see a little bit of the sausage making. The stuff you didn't see actually before on the live stream was they changed some settings. We had trouble getting on.
Yep.
So that's the behind the scenes of putting a podcast together and making sure that you can get your information, your voice out there.
Cool. That's a wrap.